Welcome to the Reverie Esports Rift Cup number 2, Qualifier number 2. We're about halfway through the month, and we're ready for some League of Legends. I'm your caster, Effect, and unfortunately Octavian isn't here right now, but he should be joining us shortly. But for now, we have some League of Legends to cast. Right now we're going through the bans. We have the Maokai, the Graves, and the Fizz all banned out, so we're waiting on a couple more. There's the Lulu. So, other than the Maokai, it's a fairly not too unexpected set of bands. Not particularly for those of you, of course, this is between Supernova Zero and Supernova Prometheus. Check to make sure I get the tags up set correctly. Yes, this should be fine. And our last band coming from Supernova Prometheus is going to be the... Oh my gosh, I've forgotten his name because no one's played him in so long. I know what he does, I know his abilities, I just can't remember his name. But it is a annoying top laner banned out from the pool, and that is going to be a Rengar to round out the bans. And first pick Karma, so that's probably going to be for Inko in the bottom lane as the support Karma, most likely, but it is something of a flex character. Actually, I can turn on music a little without Octavian to bounce stuff off of. It's a little quiet without some additional background noise, so let's go ahead and make it nice and quiet for music. That's probably about as good as it's going to get. And we're seeing Zero taking their time with their picks here. We could probably see a support pick picked up, maybe some kind of priority, either a priority top laner or jungler, maybe. Probably going to leave the mid lane pick for absolute last, though, most likely. And it's going to be the jungle and the AD carry. Caitlyn bringing not too unusual for a marksman pick. And Greg has been making something of a resurgence in the last few weeks. Also in top lane, he's not just using the jungle. We've seen him top lane here, actually, at Reverie. So I'm curious to see where exactly he's sent. And it's going to be a Lee Sin and a Ziggs for Supernova Prometheus. I almost said Prometheus. It's Promethean, not Prometheus. Promethean's a rather unusual take on the Prome. And it's going to be a LeBlanc to counter out these Ziggs, it seems. Though, I don't know for sure if it's going to be this is exactly what's going to happen, but it might be a bot lane Ziggs. Seen it a couple times. Either way, though, that is definitely most likely a mid LeBlanc. Seeing Project Panda taking his time on what they need. They need a support and either a top laner or a jungler, depending on where the Gragas is going, which is most likely jungle, admittedly. And Promethean needs a marksman and a top laner. Nope. Okay, so it is definitely a bottom lane Ziggs. It is a mid lane Kassadin. That leaves the Lee Sin and the Camille, which is the last pick, as our physical damage. It's very interesting. Haven't seen a Kassadin in so very long. Looking to negate some of LeBlanc's power with the Kassadin, I'm assuming. Shield from Kassadin's Q can be very useful against magic damage, of course. What is the last pick gonna be for Zero? I do have these teams right. Assuming they're in the proper order, yeah, that should be Zero on the red side. Good, okay. Oh, I better turn that off. And it's gonna be a Fiora to round out the roster, so it's definitely a Jungle Gragas. It's gonna be a top lane Fiora to fight against the Camille, Angelic Buster. I feel like it's a reference to something. Oh, sorry about that. Alrighty, so this is going to be our roster for this first semifinal match between Supernova Promethean and Supernova Zero. Got Camille in the top lane for Angelic Buster facing off against Ednog's Fiora. Ednog. It's been so long since I've seen him. His name always makes me laugh. Lee Sin is going to be played by I'm Juicy. Oh my. And he's going to be facing off against Gragas from I almost said that Gragas is Hayami, but it's Hayami's Gragas. Sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. Reading a message. Then we have Cassidin being played by You Stunned, and it's going to be against Wifflebat's LeBlanc. Wifflebat, another returning player I recognize. And unusually, it is going to be a Ziggs Karma lane in the bot lane played by Sweet Pete 7 and Inko Sama. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And they're going to be facing off against Project Panda's Caitlyn and Tier Sona's Nami. Tier Sona. Sona with the tier? And that's going to be it. We have about a 2-minute delay. We're going to have a small commercial break, and we'll be back shortly. So do not go anywhere, folks. Hopefully Octavian can join us in just a little bit, and we'll be ready to go.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift. "30 seconds until minions spawn." Minions have spawned. No difference. Cowards rock.
Never fall. side and the wrong side. Be clever and quick. Patience is what separates good hunters from dead ones. There are two sides to every issue. My side and the wrong side. Stay where I want you to stay. Your favors. Those who wait. Never fall. Clever and quick. You will be where I want you to be. What separates good hunters from dead? This isn't a virtue. This is the virtue. I've already figured you out. Never die. Stop. Here. Yeah.
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
Headshot. Headshot.
meet you by the fire. Listen, listen. There's something I must confide. I know I said that it'd be fine. I know I made it look like it'd be alright, but I think I learned my lesson, and I'm not gonna let you out of my sight. You can call me killer, 'cause I'll bring you to the light. And it might taste bitter when you're answering to God. You can call me killer as you look into my eyes. Nothing but a astray. Too soon to act on it, can we ever be? That all depends on what you're feeling from me. Let me show you all the way. Let me show you all the ways. Oh, let me show you all the ways. Yeah, let me show you all the ways. Oh. I have been taken by the words that you say. The voice that carries them has kept me astray. Too soon to act on it, can we ever be? That all depends on what you're feeling from me. Let me show you all the way. Let me show you all the ways. Oh, let me show you all the ways. Yeah, let me show you all the ways. Oh.
I feel so alive. I've never felt this way before. It must be you and I. It's got me thinking about us more. It's these bright lights that put me in a daze, and I can't stop but think about the way that you move around up and down on that stage. It's your future vibes. Bright lights that put me in a trance, so I feel like I can do it all. It's a good life that I really want. It's those future vibes. I got the future vibes.
Welcome to the finals of our Rift Cup 2 Qualifier 2. I'm your caster Effect, and we're joined by Octavian. Finally, you made it.
Good evening, everybody. Sorry for my tardiness. I am here, though, and, as always, better late than never, and we're into the finals between Supernova and Supernova Zero, as I believe Effect mentioned.
That is correct. Supernova Zero faced off against Supernova Promethean in the semifinals and did quite well for themselves, taking firm control of the game and then spiraling everything out of control. We'll have to see if they can have a repeat of that last game.
Yeah, it's been something of a Supernova night. And either way, they do end up winning, the organization, but we'll see which team it is that takes home the bragging rights and maybe pokes fun at the other one later on tonight. It will be, I believe, Supernova Zero on blue side and Supernova on red?
Yeah, Supernova on... No, it's Supernova on blue and
Supernova
Zero
regular on blue. Okay.
Yes, and then Zero will be on the red side.
Cool. And we've got a few bans out the gate. The Kindred ban against Sir Celery makes a lot of sense. That is pretty much his main champion. I don't want to go so far as to say he's a one-trick because he is certainly competent on a lot of other picks, but Kindred is his bread and butter, so taking it out of the equation makes a lot of sense. The rest of them being just pretty powerful picks overall. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Fizz ban off the Rift as well at MSI. Fizz has been gathering a lot of attention. He's a very, very powerful pick, both for mid and top lane. So we'll see exactly how it pans out. That and Lulu as well is still on the table.
They are taking their time with this last ban here. They did ban out Ednog's Fiora, who did quite well with that.
And Graves will be off the table. So that was one of the other champions that I wanted to mention, Sir Celery being quite competent at. So quite a focus towards banning out Sir Celery. They've gotten, I'd say, his two best champions off the table, and now Lulu will be the first pick. So I think the answer here is to go for that Fizz. Potentially. It depends on what sort of comp they want to put together. He doesn't really slot into every single composition, but he is a really, really powerful laner at the moment. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets picked.
It's definitely an option. And am I seeing this right? They didn't have a third ban?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether that's a penalty for some infraction or part of their strategy, but one way or another, Supernova did only ban two champions.
Very interesting. Hayami's going to make a return to the Gragas. He had a very strong game on the Gragas, and actually it's going to be Project Panda on the Caitlyn as well.
Yeah, not wanting to give over the Caitlyn Lulu combo does make sense. I think the Gragas maybe isn't super high priority. I'm not sure why it's being picked so early in the draft, but maybe they just don't want to show much of the rest of their draft, and they don't have an idea of what solo laners they want to go for yet. They want to see a little bit more of Supernova. So I like the Caitlyn pick to deny the Caitlyn Lulu lane, because that is basically the most powerful duo lane in the game at the moment, and Gragas to just kind of hold their hand back a bit makes sense.
Hover on the new Zac, but it is just a hover.
You know what we say about hovers, but it does get locked in. That will be a Zac jungle, I'm imagining. You don't really see him in lane anymore. And he is widely regarded as being kind of gimmicky and clunky in a lot of situations, but he does have power. I think he's a great follow-up engage because his ult does have so much channel time. But if like an Ash Arrow lands in the right target and then Zac can get in there and ult them back to his team, because the new Let's Bounce allows him to take an enemy champion or group of enemy champions, basically take an area worth of champions and move them from one place to another. So in Ash Arrow lands, it stuns up an important target. Zac jumps in and then pulls that target right back into the middle of his team where they are annihilated. That's sort of the ideal circumstance that we're looking at for Supernova's comp so far.
Pull him into the laser in every base. Just instigate people.
Yeah,
Very
though if you're in the sort of if you're in the situation where you're that close to the base that you can do that, you're probably already losing that game.
That is true, unless it's just amazingly close.
Ooh, Maokai. The new Maokai is a ton of fun. Again, regarded by a lot of higher tier players as being clunky and situational, but not necessarily bad.
The one video I've seen of the new Maokai, he was tanking a turret for quite a while, just healing off of all ability casts, because he heals off turrets now too. So that's neat.
Yeah, he is very, very high sustain, rather tanky. He's lost a lot in terms of laning power because he's lost a lot in terms of clear. But, just looking over the draft so far, one of these three sort of bruisery tanky champions has to go mid now for Supernova Zero. The Gragas, the Maokai, or the Kled. I imagine it's either the Gragas or the Maokai, and most likely the Maokai, but that doesn't seem that good at all. I'm really not sure.
Like maybe Gragas mid? Or...
Oh no, it could be Maokai support. Maokai support is something that's been seeing a lot more play recently.
Throwing saplings into the bush because they get the
yeah,
damage.
They get the extra damage from the bushes in the lane. So that could be decently strong, and he does have enough utility in his kit to be played as a support. So it could be a Maokai support, Gragas, Jungle, Kled, top, Caitlyn, and we still don't see the mid lane. But Victor and Shen are grabbed for Supernova. Shen obviously going to the top lane, and Victor to the mid. A pretty solid and standard composition from Supernova. The only strange thing being the new Zac. We'll see how it plays out for Sir Celery.
It's going to be a very quick lock-in on the Orianna. So it's going to be a fairly standard mid lane matchup, Victor against Orianna. We've never seen that before.
Yeah, so it is a Maokai support. All right, that's kind of cool.
That is really interesting, actually. I'm really curious to see how that plays out.
You can potentially cheese a lot of damage out of that at like level 1 or 2 by stacking saplings in a bush, but a competent player, which that's the only type of player we got on the Rift here at our finals, is not really going to be face checking into a lot of bushes when there's a Maokai support of the enemy team. It's the same sort of cheesy strategy that you might see with like a Shaco support if you've ever played against that, where they just stack up a bunch of bushes, a bunch of traps in a bush, and then try and bait the enemy team. Stack a bunch of bushes. No, it's not Ivern support. The funny thing is now there is a champion actually in the game that can do that, but God, Ivern Shaco lane, that would be quite the thing. Anyways, I'm really curious to see how this lane plays out. Maokai doesn't seem particularly synergistic with Caitlyn either, but you know, one way or another, we're going to be seeing how it works after our 3-minute spectator delay.
And on that note, we're going to be entering a quick commercial break, and we'll be back as soon as we're on the Rift, so do not go anywhere, folks.
Keep your words naked. You got me
A summoner has disconnected. A summoner has reconnected.
And I just realized I've been talking for about 30 seconds with my mic muted. Oops. So nobody heard any of that. Sad face. So we are ready for some League of Legends. We have been a disconnect from Project Panda. He should be back relatively shortly. And we'll be ready for some League.
Seems fortunate that Project Panda is having trouble connecting to the game, because I am as well. I'm actually not looking at it yet. I'm still looking at a loading screen. So give me just a little bit to load into the game. Hopefully nothing too terribly important happens. And we get out of the pause just as I load in. That would be serendipitous.
And here we are. The pause is wrecked. Project Panda is back. And we're ready for some League.
I hear Lulu laughing, but I'm still looking at a loading screen.
Oh
So
my.
I'm not sure what League of Legends is up to right now, but I'm not able to cast this.
You're on the new beta version of Big League of Legends for the blind.
Oh man,
Welcome.
that would be unfortunate. I don't think I'd do a very good job casting a game blind. Oh come on, game.
We are
You
seeing
can
a
do
bit
this.
of an invade actually, so hopefully you can get it nice and quick.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and try and solve this problem. You give them the benefit of the solo cast, my man.
Now, they back out of the invade. They only allow Tearstone to throw a sapling into a bush, and they're gonna quickly back out. We're actually seeing Haba Tubata. That is such a very unusual name. Haba Tubata. If I am pronouncing that correctly, incorrectly, feel free to correct me in the chat. That is a rather lengthy name. We see Tearstone on the top side actually dropping some saplings for Hayami. So that's going to help him with the clearing. Habatubata. Habatubata. That's that is such an unusual name. Yes, it is, dorky name. Alrighty, so we are ready for some League. All the lanes are getting started here, and we see Tearstone making his way back to bot side after helping leash for Jaime in that at the Raptor camp.
Alright, I've successfully reconnected, just hitting the 2-minute mark. Are we on the same timestamp there, Effect?
201, 202, 203.
Alright, I seem to be maybe a half a second ahead of you. That'll work.
Fine.
Yeah, we've got a shoving bottom lane for Supernova as Tearstone and Project Panda get pushed back under the turret, and meanwhile mid lane a little bit of trading. And I'm excited to actually be onto the Rift for this game. It's a nice improvement over seeing a loading screen.
Very much so. Oh, Raccoon and Sile hitting that level 2 before Project Panda. So
And one of the better ways to deal with the Maokai support is, 1, don't face check bushes, and 2, push them back under their turret where there are no bushes. He's very, very reliant on bushes for getting a lot of his damage down. And that's not to say he's useless without them. He's gone for Ignite, so he's got some decent damage just in that. And he's also got good utility in Twisting Advance and Arcane Smash, but a lot of the power lies in its cheesy ability to deal just lots of base damage from bush-placed saplings.
Habatubata getting the nice Shadow Dash onto Headnog.
Yeah, Eggnog forced back under his turret. He will gain back courage slowly from last hitting, or more quickly if he's able to pick a fight that he can successfully maneuver with Haba. But we'll see how long it takes him to get Scarl back, if indeed he can actually get his mount again.
He's about halfway there. Both top laners have used up their potions, so Headnog, bit of a disadvantage right now until he can get Scarl back.
Yeah, but the advantage then of Kled into a lane like this is that he's going to have just straight up more sustain than Shen, unless Haba can fully all-in Eggnog and actually finish him off, which is highly unlikely on the Shen pick, as there's Scarl returning, and Eggnog gets back a good few hundred hit points.
Certainly not an insignificant amount, although how much is back to full pretty much himself. damage, though.
And Nog is once again dismounted. This time Sir Celery's around the corner. There's the landing right on top of it. Nog gets pulled back with a new stretching strike, and it's first blood to Sir Celery. Habatuba will go down, though.
They go even, but they managed to pick up first blood, but Sir Celery in trouble.
Yeah, he's got the red buff, and he's going to pop him with it. Hiyami now has the duty of cleaning up all of these little bloblets. Just one auto onto each, and then the Q to finish him off. Very well done.
Absolutely. Miami was a bit of a powerhouse in that that first game we saw, so probably gonna have the same level of impact.
Root and Ignite onto Raccoon. He is taking away Flash Forward from Project Panda, but he whiffed on the auto attack. Another one will follow. Oh!
If he had gotten that first auto off, they would have picked up the kill. But he just accidentally canceled
Canceled the
it.
animation a little early. He may not have gotten the second auto in time had that first one gone through. You never really know, but part of the reason why Raccoon survived is because he had a health potion running, so the potion may not have ticked enough. Like, the margins were really, really slim. So Project Panda whiffing on a kill that he could very well have had had he just been a little bit slicker with his auto attacks, but that's all right.
Absolutely. So they do trade flash for flash, but that does mean that Project Panda doesn't have a flash of his own currently.
And Kyle and Raccoon, realizing the lane is now vacant of any opposition, are going to shove that up under the turret, try and deny as much farm as they can to Project Panda. And Habatuba is doing the same thing, freezing his lane up top lane, trying to deny Ednog. He is going to shove back now. Pardon me.
Absolutely. Habatuba getting another nice shot at it on that Eggnog. He's taking some very aggressive trades here.
Beautiful bat now, having had the opportunity to base, is back in lane with more mana than Jesus Chris has to his name. He's going to be able to shove his opponent out as Hiyami is roamed up topside. Habatuba is in more trouble than he bargained for. Ednog is dismounted, but Haba has nothing more to follow that up with. He's going to continue to pick a fight with Hiyami here, though, possibly trying to buy time for the Zac to come top lane, but he's still a good distance away, nearly getting the 1v2. Hiyami getting out barely with 20 health or less.
That is not a lot of health. He was so close to going down. If Habatuba had even just the Bammy Cinder, that would have been enough to get that kill, but of course he doesn't have it yet.
That's got to be so depressing if you're the Shen in that situation, because he played that to the hilt. Like, he made use of every last auto attack, every second of fighting time that he had there. And he nearly pulled it off, but sadly,
very
close does not quite count in League of Legends.
Project Panda taking a good chunk of damage from Raccoon.
Yeah, able to return in kind, though. And he will have some sustain as well.
Is most certainly true. Oh, sorry about that.
Yami now showing on the bottom side of the map, cleaning out a little bit of vision as he does get pinged away by the enemy team, so they know where he is. We'll see where Sir Celery's next move is now that he has level 6 as well. Zac, even past the changes, still does have some pretty damn potent early ganking power. We've only seen that utilized once so far, though, on the top side.
Elastic Slingshot just has so much incredible range. Oh my, Jesus, it's just melting.
He does turn back around with some good burst of his own. He has to flash, though, and the Shen ult comes down. That is a lot burned, keeping that Victor alive.
Absolutely. That's, if the Shen ult hadn't come down, that probably would have killed him, though. You see that Hayami is building a more AP-oriented round. He's going for that Runic Echoes.
Possibly. There's a little bit of the Shen shield remaining even
that
after the Gragas ult landed, so maybe it wasn't strictly necessary, but I feel it wasn't a terrible idea. Abadu maybe not anticipating Jesus Chris flashing to avoid the barrel, and thus thinking that he needed to shield him for him to stay alive in any sort of circumstance.
Either way, that's pretty favorable for Hayami. An ultimate for a flash and a Shen ultimate.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely worth the cooldown trade. But I've still got my eyes on Sir Celery. I want to see what his answer is here, because Hiyami has had a very, very busy and productive game so far. He's been in every single lane, admittedly bottom lane only clearing out some vision, and he's had multiple successful ganks already, so... Here's Sir Celery coming to the bottom lane, though, just as I mentioned that, pulling the Gragas back in, and that is exactly the combo I was talking about in draft. Dash Arrow lands on to a member, and then they're just tucked right back into the rest of the team, where their fate is decidedly sealed.
Poor Tier Sona just didn't have a chance to even react to all that CC.
Yeah, I mean, he had to flash the Ash Arrow. That was the only way to avoid that. After the Ash Arrow lands, you're dead. Everything else is done for you. He didn't have any time to flash or use his W or anything along those lines. Hiyami now chasing after Jesus Chris once again in the jungle. Going to be flashing over the gravity well. The ult is back up, and Hiyami's up killing spree. Gragas not to be outdone. We'll get some work done in mid lane.
Absolutely. No hesitation from Hayami when he goes for those kills. He's just so aggressive.
This time up towards top side. Starts earlier with the stretching strike. He whiffs a little bit. Anticipates Hiyami dodging a bit more than he did. There's the elastic slingshot. They're trading evenly so far, but Hiyami will belly slam his way over the wall and to safety.
Certainly going to be able to defend that pink ward in the bush there. Sorry, control ward.
However, Wifflebat is up, and Victor is only just now leaving the base, so they've still got an opportunity to invade onto Sir Celery, and it looks like they're more than willing to take it. Sir Celery is going to have to get over that wall if he wants to make it out of this alive, I think. They don't have a ton of CC left to throw his way, but there's a flash, and looks like they'll be okay with that, or maybe not. Wifflebat was looking for more. Sir Celery going to be popped into his passive. Shockwave a little late, as there's the taunt from Haba. Two-man knock-up off of Raccoon's Roam. Wifflebat will be lasered. Haba is the one to claim the kill. Hiyami now over the wall. Haba looking to continue this fight. He's going to have Shadow Dash up soon. The Ash Arrow from the bottom lane whiffs to the side. Haba now going to be landing that very Shadow Dash onto Eggnog, who regains and swiftly loses his mount once again. And I don't think the Meowkai is going to do too much for this fight. It's already lost.
Managed to get a multi-man snare, but that's already 3 kills down. Way too late.
And that was Supernova beautifully responding to a perhaps overzealous invade from the side of Supernova Zero. Now Kyle going for the 1v1 with Project Panda. Keep in mind, Kyle does not have his ulti at the moment. Project Panda does. He's going to have to back off.
They both have flash and they both have heal, so Project Panda is currently coming out ahead. And there is a ward right there, so they do know Project Panda is in the bush.
Deersona back at it. They're looking for the invade onto Sir Celery. He's going to chase him out, though he did manage to secure his blue. And a lot of this game for Supernova Zero has come down to Hiyami and where he's been positioning. His Gragas play has been, for the most part, impeccable. Though,
a little bit of a
as I mentioned, that invade was overzealous.
Yeah. I think part of that could maybe be a little more towards Wifflebat, because Wifflebat just ghosted into their team trying to pick up Sir Celery there.
To some degree, true. Also, the Shockwave whiffing on the corpse of the Zac is certainly not going to help their chances in the 3 or 4 man skirmish that came right afterwards. Haba not quite landing the Shadow Dash. Going to come out the worst for that trade, but it's alright.
Dog missing the bear trap though, so that is good news for Haba, who does have a decent chunk of armor now.
Yeah, working towards that Sunfire Cape. Ninja Tabby as well is just such a goddamn efficient item.
That Shadow Dash not quite catching Eggnog, barely tickling.
But Kyle and Raccoon have been rotated toward top side, and with an Ash Arrow plus a Zac, they may very well be able to dive Eggnog. However, the arrow quite land. Still going for the attempted kill here, though, as Eggnog has to flash away and dismount and disengage with his pocket pistol. The tower's life is forfeit, though, for sure. This will be in trade for a dragon.
It is a mountain break, so it's not the worst thing in the world to give up, but
against a Caitlyn comp, that certainly does make it a little bit worse.
Yeah. That is a lot of resources for the... They do get first brick as well, though, so that's an advantage.
Yeah, and Supernova Zero are really slow to this push on the secondary turret. On the first turret, rather. While Supernova are already on the secondary. Eggnog gets slammed into a caster minion. My personal favorite type of minion. Supernova are going to be chased off the secondary turret as they lose their outer. But maybe that Shockwave is going to turn things around here. Wifflebat doing some great damage, but there's just not enough mana left for him or enough resources left for the rest of the team. They do hold the turret, and that's very important, as they've got their own 3-man unit shoving bottom lane.
Didn't know how that was going to work, but Sir Celery trying to use the Zac ultimate to pull away Eggnog, but Eggnog dismounted at the same time, and so the ultimate didn't pick him up. Very interesting.
Yeah, you go untargetable and invulnerable for a very brief moment when dismounting as Kled, and it throws off a lot of players.
So just a little bit of poor timing by Sir Celery then. Not quite expecting to dismount that happen so quickly, I assume.
This may be a little too aggressive from Haba, who's now going to pay for his action. Thinking Hiyami was alone turning that corner was very much wrong in that regard. However, Hiyami will go down as an Ash Arrow from down the mid lane. Catches him out. It's 1-for-1 trade.
That's probably about as close to a match range Asher as necessary to get that nice long 4-second stun.
Is it 4?
It might be 3. It might be 3, you're right, yeah. I'd have to check.
Because I remember way back in the day when Fiddlesticks had a 3-second fear, people would compare it to the Ash Arrow and complain about it because of that. Because Ash has to hit like a skill shot at the range of half the map, and Fiddle just has to press button on you. But gone are the days of Fiddlesticks' forever fear.
The day where you could go and get coffee and still be feared when you come back.
Yeah. Oh, man. There are a lot of good jokes that were born of it at the very least. Shockwave pulling back to the victor. Piltover does get flashed away from a forward there from the Caitlyn. Jesus Chris just about avoiding a cupcake trap. And he makes it out alive. Lots of cooldowns burned to keep it that way, but he does make it out.
There, let's see, Zero is going to push in onto this mid turret.
Flash forward from Tiersona. The Chillings might slow him down, but he's still in range to W in. However, knocked up, silenced as well. He's not going to accomplish too much before being chopped to bits.
Destroyed.
Now the rest of the team is trying to chase down his friends. Doesn't look like they'll get much more, but that turret did fall. I suppose it was sort of turret for Maokai, but Maokai really didn't need to die for that. A lot of global pressure from just Haba Tubata alone. Not really respecting that, I feel like, from Tiersona. And not respecting his own squishiness. I mean, usually on the Maokai, you're okay to flash W into 3 members of the enemy team, and then wait for your team to kind of follow up on that and be alright and be able to survive until your team shows up. But not when you support Maokai with nothing but a upgraded Sightstone to your name.
Not exactly, it doesn't exactly scream tanky build.
There's the Kled ult coming in, charging to the back line, landing on Haba too, but changing focus to Sir Celery. He gets bounced over the wall, perfectly happy to stay with 1v1, but Sir Celery is going to create some distance. Rift Herald is still just below a few thousand hit points, but both junglers seem more intent on chasing kills, as Jesus Chris is getting chased back through the mid lane. Going to try and burst down Project Panda before he falls, at least go for the 1v1, or 1-4-1 rather, as Sir Celery secures the Rift Herald. Tiersona now engaging in onto Raccoon. Raccoon will burn his ulti to make it out as Yami over the wall is going to pop a barrel, slowing 2. There's some good damage. Project Panda with the ulti, and Raccoon will fall. It's 2 kills traded for the Rift Herald.
Quite a bit of action now. Sir Celery with the going over the wall, taking Ednog with him, then leaping back over.
Did no one... Okay, no. The Shen got the Rift Herald. I thought no one had actually stood on the thing. I didn't see it at first, but no, it takes the place of the trinket slot. I was looking in their actual inventories. Yes. So Habatu is the one gifted the purple eyeball. We'll see how he makes use of it. Been seeing a lot of different strategies around Rift Herald. Some teams will use it as sort of an agent of split pushing. They'll toss it in a lane on the other side of the map from where they're pushing, and then rush down another lane so the enemy has more things to answer. Some teams will just rally behind it and try and get it to shove as many turrets as far down the lane as possible and just keep it alive. I'm interested to see what the strategy is from Supernova. As well as that, a lot of teams will wait as long as they can, keeping the buff on Habatu or whichever player owns it, and then drop it when it's about to expire.
That makes sense. We do see a dragon getting spawned in about 35 seconds.
Oh, good sweeper. Or sorry, good sapling. As Tiersona's going to drop the ulti. It is incredibly slow, though. It's like a Nami wave on... I mean, what's the opposite of steroids? On, like, sleeping pills.
Depressants?
Yeah, I guess. It does not really work as a primary engage. That's one of the problems with Maokai. In his current state, you kind of need a starting trigger to a fight, and then he's really great as follow-up now because of the nature of his ulti. And that trigger is the Kled at the moment. It's the charge in that Kled can do for the whole team. But there's a leap over the wall from Sir Celery, trying to pull back Tearsona, but he was just outside the range of the ulti. Still, though, good engage off the Ash Arrow. It is Whifflebat, stunned up, taunted up, airborne. So many different ailments on this one Orianna, and he cannot survive at all. The engagement fled a little bit late as the rest of his team has already turned tail and fled. Looks like Kled will have to join them. Maybe Zac falls to bits, but I don't think they're going to have time to execute the passive. He will revive, and Jesus Chris brings down Project Panda. The Shen takes out the Gragas, and Supernova take home a handy team fight.
Despite Sir Celery whiffing the Let's Bounce, they still were able to basically get a super nice gravity person on top of Project Panda and on Whifflebat, and they just took out both carries so quickly.
Yeah,
no, sorry, it wasn't
just
Project Panda,
really...
it was Tearsona and Whifflebat. Either way, though.
They were just really, really split up for the majority of that fight. And there's the Rift Herald dropped in the mid lane. They're going to be backing it up a bit with their own push. Yeah, no, they're going to let it do its own thing as it headbutts its way into the turret.
It's still fairly early in the game, so the respawn timers aren't too long just yet. And so Rift Herald will be going down.
Did about half the health off the turret, which has value for sure. They'll be able to shove that in later and potentially bring it down. I like Whifflebat's choice of the newly AP-focused Banshee's Veil. Very, very powerful against a team that runs the Zac and the Ashe and all of this high-impact single-spell engage sort of nonsense. So if that shield eats an Ashe Arrow or something, then it more than proved its worth.
Absolutely. And especially so if Whifflebat can stay relatively safe in the backline, where the only way to get to him would be a strong engage ability.
We'll see exactly how some of these team fights play out, whether or not that Banshee's Veil proves to be the saving grace that it could be. As we haven't had too terribly many of them just yet, but we're still well and truly out of the laning phase. Though it seems like the top laners haven't gotten that memo.
Now Blasting going over the wall. Back gonna go grab that blue buff for himself. Baron is now alive.
Both of these teams so willing to fight. Posturing around an objective that I really don't think either can realistically take if they are considering this Baron.
Definitely on the risky side at this early in the game, not without a full team wipe.
It's really, I think, less the Baron that's drawing these teams to each other and more just each other. They both really want to pick a fight. They've both got teams that are really slanted towards engage. Like, they've got Kled on one side and Ashe on the other. It's just a matter of who finds the opening first. Not to mention things like Gragas and Maokai for follow-up. Speaking of Maokai, Tearsona may get caught out here. Here comes Sir Celery over the wall. Tearsona chunked down, a few hundred hit points gone. There's the flash away, but the Ashe Arrow will still land onto Hiyami. We'll see whether or not they can engage on that. Good counter engage from the Maokai ulti. Doesn't actually hit anyone, but it prevents anyone from charging in.
It's a very good anti-chase tool, looking at it. It functions very similar to Nami's wave.
Yeah, it is very, very similar in a lot of ways to Nami's ult, in that it can be used as follow-up engage, or to split a team fight, or to prevent an engage. Not so much, really, as just raw engage itself. Like a tankier melee Nami. That's actually a tree.
Instead of a fish.
Similarities don't hold up very long under scrutiny. The Baron has started, though.
Oh my. They're doing some decent damage to it, but...
So Celery over the wall. Ednog is a little bit separated from his team here. He is rather tanky. Got some time bought off of dismounting. Here's Hiyami into the middle of the fight, but he is squishy on this high damage version of Gragas, or relatively high damage. As he's only just now started to build tank itemization. But they seem to have prevented the Baron.
Yeah, they did, that's true. There is some value on that, so we're taking some damage there.
Get him, kitty. He's just wanting pets. So Celery not really interested though. But yeah, preventing the Baron was a pretty big deal. I don't even know if Supernova were really seriously going through that, though. I mean, they did obviously start it. They got it down below half health, but I don't think they ever anticipated Supernova Zero not responding.
Absolutely. They saw Eggnog and tried to engage with the Elastic Slingshot, but Eggnog was way further along than Sir already thought, so it just missed completely.
But once again, teams are rushing to the Baron pit.
Yeah.
Kled does have teleport available, which is why he's hanging out on the bottom side of the map.
Barrel is going to go ahead and make sure that no one is on the Baron, because there is a control ward in the pit. Habatuba going to accidentally proc Baron with the Sunfire.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me that Habatuba is here at all, though, in this gen, but there's Tirsona with the ulti. The Let's Bounce does not pull anyone again. And, I mean, those are two pretty high impact ults burned on either side. Both Maokai and Zac.
Habatuba is going to be forced to back. Looks like he might respond to the bot side. He is very much on the durable side, so he has a very good strong build against Kled.
Yeah, I'm just surprised. I'm just surprised that Habatuba hasn't been bottom side longer. Going down there now is fine, and he's catching the wave before it has a chance to reach a turret, so it's not going to be that big a deal, but he's Shen with teleport. He does not need to be with his team at any point until a fight actually breaks out. Like, in that moment is when Shen can join.
Absolutely, it does make a lot of sense, especially considering the ultimate and the teleport together. Just it's so much map mobility.
So he can match this pressure from Kled pretty easily. I don't think he can really 1v1 the Kled, but he really doesn't have to.
Yeah, he just needs to stop the waves. Speaking of Kled finally picking up that Titanic Hydra, so he is going to be even a little more tanky now.
And it is all going to be about vision control this game, even more so than usual, because both sides are so heavily focused on these big impact engage abilities, things like the Maokai ults and Kled ult and that sort of thing. Because if you are engaging with something like that out of vision, you can catch the enemy team off guard very easily and get a really, really favorable team fight out of it. Stretching strike on the Project Panda, but nothing to cling on to pull him back with. And speaking of Kled ulti, there it is from the side, landing onto Sir Celery. Let's Bounce actually going to whiff again on pulling Ednog into the team. There's a two-man shockwave as Jesus Christ gets pulled back. The Nature's Grasp coming through as a 5-man knockup, beautifully done, or 4-man knockup from Sir Celery. Teleport to keep Sir Celery alive as well. Chaos Storm chasing ruthlessly after the enemy team, and neither side will actually lose anyone, despite some solid ult placement, both from Wifflebat and Sir Celery. E placement from Sir Celery, I suppose.
That was almost every ultimate in the match burned, except for
Stand United.
Stand United. Oh, I forgot the
Ace in
name.
the Hole.
Yeah.
Ace in the Hole, yeah.
That's it.
Basically the two ults that aren't big teamfight impactors. Like, everything else is an AoE teamfight impact. Or, I guess Ash ult is technically AoE, but you know, like these big, heavy CC, big teamfight ults, all of those were burned. It's basically just the single target stuff that wasn't. Because that's really not the kind of game that we're in right now.
Absolutely. But that will be the next Drake going over to Supernova's main team. And it's going to be an Air Drake. Not quite as exciting as an Infernal or a Mountain Drake, but Drake is
Certainly will help them.
Absolutely.
And in a game of engage versus engage, having a little bit of extra move speed outside of combat can be really nice. It allows you to make your engage more potent just by positioning it better. Ednog, though, without his teleport, is not going to be able to match Habatuba's sidewave pressure now. At least not without having to keep roaming up the river whenever he gets the chance to be in ult range. Whereas Stand United is still available. Habatuba can still join his team easily. And that may prove the straw that breaks the camel's back. As Supernova are taking advantage of that right now. There's the ulti combo onto the Gragas. A 3-man shockwave, though, to respond. Sir Celery does finish off the kill into Kiami. Ednog now ulting in from the side. Stand United has brought Habatuba into the fight. And a good continuation from Sir Celery with the stretching strike. Great engage from Supernova.
Absolutely. They just managed to pick up Hayami and drag him into the team. It's a good shockwave by Wifflebat, but there just wasn't much in the way of follow-up. Hayami CC permanently throughout that fight.
Yeah, and Supernova just recognized that they had a numbers advantage at that point, at least for even just a few seconds at the start of the fight. Because, yes, Ednog can ult in and can get there relatively quickly, but not quite as quick an impact as pressing R and being there basically instantly for Habatuba. On top of that, they executed the combo that I talked about in draft really just perfectly. They landed the Ash Arrow and then pulled that target back in with Zac ulti, giving no room to Kiami to react.
with that Baron buff though, they're quickly going to the top side and save the turret.
Wait a second.
Zero's
Supernova Zero stole the Baron. What stole it?
No,
Let me look. That should be in the
right.
Oriana. Oriana stole the Baron.
I didn't
We
even
were too
notice.
busy talking about the team fight. We didn't even see it.
Oh my gosh, you're right. I didn't even notice.
Whiffle managed to steal it. I'm assuming a command attack or something over the wall because Shockwave was down. Oh no. That means we're still in an even game. I was about to say Supernova have something of a lead now. They can start pressuring an advantage, but nope, not anymore. Now a Baron off the table.
And the gold is completely even despite the large difference in kills.
I mean, yeah, but a Baron is basically 5 kills.
Yeah.
Because a Baron is 300 gold for each of your members. So if you take their turret lead and then a Baron into account, the math really does work out.
Tirsona with a very curious Maokai build, though. Leandri's Torment is his next completed item.
That is rather odd. I don't necessarily begrudge him going damage, but that does seem like a really
Ballsy choice.
specific item. I don't know.
It doesn't have much in the way of defense.
And it does mean they're going to be missing a redemption, which is just a huge deal in some of these team fights. But to be fair, Raccoon hasn't built one either, as he's gone for the Ardent Sensor. But with that Baron buff, and a Caitlyn, and a Mountain Drake, they're going to shove down a secondary turret pretty easily. And despite losing the team fight, Wifflebat keeps his team in the game with a miraculous steal. Beautiful interrupt! Well done, Hiyami. The Shockwave, though, anti-synergy his ulti. Not so well done. Not so well done at all. So we're going to be pulling the enemy team back towards his, as now they've got another team fight on their hands. They thought they had disengaged. They thought that Gragas had saved them all, but really no. Gragas had killed them all.
Sir Celery has no chill.
None at all.
That was so well played by Jaime, though. He just reacted instantly with that body slamming.
So well played, and then so not very well played. Because he did react instantly with the body slam. He interrupted Sir Celery's initial engage, and that was really, really well done. Good timing, good reactions, all of that. Kudos to the man. And then he Gragas ults everyone out of the Shockwave. And that's as much, honestly, Wifflebat's fault as it is Hiyami's. It's just anti-synergy between these two players.
Yeah. That's something I've always kind of thought about, is that Gragas and Oriana don't synergize very well together.
I mean, they can.
Yeah.
You can Gragas ult a bunch of people back into the range of an Oriana ult as well. It's just, it's certainly possible for there to be some tremendous anti-synergy and for you to have some very, very embarrassing moments like that.
Absolutely. Jaime gonna steal away that River Crab away for himself. Get some extra vision around the Baron, which will be up in about 40 seconds.
Or Dragon, you mean?
Yeah, Dragon, sorry. Dragon, Baron.
The little Baron. The little one.
Baby Baron. Parchment again. Looks like, yeah, he's gonna get the red buff for himself.
I don't know. I guess the title of Little Baron would go to Rift Herald.
That's true.
Dragon is his own thing. Anyways, that whole debate aside, which isn't really even important enough to be warranted calling a debate. We've got a Caitlyn.
Dragon respawn, so...
We've got a Caitlyn now that has hit a power spike, I'd say. As for the last, I don't know, from like the 20-minute mark to the 30-minute mark, Project Bandit was arguably in something of a power trough, as most Caitlyns are in the mid-game coming out of laning phase. But now he's finished his third item, is working on a fourth, and he's going to start chunking hard with these autos.
Absolutely. Just don't see Sir Celery lasting very long under Project Bandit if he focuses him down.
Yeah.
He'll last a decent chunk of time because he is still very durable, but he lasts
especially considering
significantly.
Ednog can help out with the armor pen as well with the Black Cleaver that he's finished. Even though he may not be looking so hot this game with the 1-4 scoreline, he's still got actually a surprising amount of utility on his Kled. He's going to be charging in towards Jesus Chris as Yami gets stunned up. There's the full combo with the Ash Arrow landing. Sir Celery is on a killing spree there. Ednog gets chased back. 3-man Shockwave though, potentially a turnaround. No, it doesn't seem like it's enough. Sir Celery will keep the chase going. Stretching strike lands onto the Kled, pulls him back. A taunt to follow. Kled dismounts, but that momentary invulnerability will not be enough to keep him alive. Kyle is on a killing spree pretty easily.
We saw Zero being really aggressive, trying to dive past that turret, but...
This is, speaking of aggressive, from Sir Celery. He's going to get some health back as he pulls them over into the back of the Krug camp where his team is waiting. Well done, Sir
Very well
Celery.
played. That is going to be Project Panda escaping. Now using the flash to get back over the wall.
Oh no. Can Raccoon handle the 1v1? I don't honestly think so. Not at this point.
Ignite, but the shield
If
from that'll keep him alive.
he got into that fight by using Whimsy to speed himself forwards. If he had had Whimsy up, he maybe could have taken that because he actually did still have Ignite and he chunked the Caitlyn down with an E. So if Caitlyn had no opportunity to auto there for a few moments, you know, like if she was a cupcake instead of a person, or whatever it is that skin turns them into, I guess a Poro, then that could have been a kill for Raccoon, but he only got in that position because he could speed buff forwards to it anyway.
And that is going to be Super Main finally getting a bit of a gold lead here. They're about 2k gold ahead now.
This is still, quite honestly, anyone's game, though. The consistent thing throughout this match has been Supernova doing well in these team fights. And team fights are everything once you get to an end game with these kinds of composition butting heads. So, with Baron going to be back on the table in another 30 seconds, I would put my money on Supernova.
Yeah, I have to agree with that assessment. Supernova just has a bit of a stronger, more reliable engage through Sir Celery Zac. We've seen Supernova Zero multiple times try to engage using either the Colette ultimate or Hayami diving in with a body slam and a barrel.
Oh no. Well, there's that squishy Maokai support as Gragas gets pulled back into the team once again. Hayami has experienced that a few times too many at this point. I feel a little bad for the guy, but Project Panda is going to continue to be chased. Only by Sir Celery, though. Without a team, he doesn't want to keep going. They're going to back off towards the Baron pit, and this does make quite a bit of sense. Let's see if it gets stolen by Oriana again.
Well, hopefully Sir Celery doesn't let that happen again. And if it does happen, hopefully we notice.
Yes, that would be ideal. There is a potential for a Colette ulting into this, but other than that, there's no real possibilities of it being stolen, and it will not be. Baron buff this time going to the rightful starters, rather than the opposition trying to steal it away.
Absolutely. And, we didn't really notice, but the bot side inhibitor did take a bit of a beating. So close to being dead for Supernova Zero. We do see Ed Dog heading that way to push that that lane up back.
You combine the two words.
Yes.
Wave and lane. It's a Wayne. It's a lave. It's a bad joke. Dragon is once again back in the rift, though. I imagine Supernova might go for that, or they might just shove for the win. We'll have to see what their plan is. They are heading down the mid lane.
Those Baron minions, they are going to have some big pushing power.
And of course, they've got a Shen, so they can send him to a side lane and reliably have him rejoin the fight whenever they need to.
Project Panda going to be placing down a large amount of traps. I'm going to set off to the side, probably looking for an opportunity to try and get a good explosive cask into the back line and knock either Sile or Jesus Chris forward.
The team looks to try and take advantage of that weakened inhibitor turret, it seems, as they're going to be rejoining Habatubata in the bottom lane. I love that name. It is fun to say. And this is kind of the last opportunity for Supernova Zero to take a favorable team fight. Sir Celery does whiff on the Elastic Slingshot, but he's going to be flashing in for the ulti, pulling two carries back into the team. Project Panda getting knocked up over and over again. This guy just does not catch a break. Hayami going to go down as well, and this is Supernova closing out the game. Sure. The fight will wear on. Kirsona goes down for the triple kill. Beautifully done, Jesus Chris. He's going for the quadra. Looking for Wiffle bad. Wiffle does have Flash. And that will be GG's going out in the chat. Supernova break into the base.
Very well played by Supernova main. Supernova Zero, though, doing a relatively good job keeping up throughout most of the game in terms of CS and turrets, but mechanically in team fights, Supernova main just has the advantage.
And there's the Nexus turrets crumbling to bits. The Nexus itself will be soon to follow, and that is the 4 qualifier points going to Supernova. Don't worry though, three qualifier points will go to Supernova Zero, and 2 points will go to 3rd, and 1 point to 4th place, as always in our qualifier tournaments, building up to our Rift Cup for the month of May.
Absolutely. So our current standings will be updated a bit later tonight. Feel free to check our Discord to get the full standings a bit later.
You still with me, Effect?
Yes. Hello, can you hear me? Testing. Testing, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
That was weird. I didn't mute my mic, but you couldn't hear me. That is so unusual. Okay. Pretty certain the viewers still heard me though. So, we'll be closing out the evening with a bit of a shout out to our sponsors, which is of course, we do have Deco, which is the website that basically sells very nice T-shirts. They're one of our primary sponsors. We have Battlefy, which is the website we use to run our brackets. There is Vibi, which is a website we use to create our highlight reels. Very easy to use, non-download software. You just go to the website, plug in a video, and you can create a highlight reel very easily. And then last but most certainly not least is Law History app, which is a phone application for Android and iPhone. You can feel free to check them out very easily. So congrats to Supernova and Supernova for winning first, second, and third.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, folks. We'll see you next week.